All right, we are live, so we can begin the class. I'm going to be sharing my screen so you can see what I prepared for you today. We're going to be going over DPIA step by step. We're going to go from the introduction, what it is. Mr. Shadrach, you have to rejoin the meeting. I just got a prompt from the AI model saying that you have to rejoin the meeting. So I will start, then you can rejoin. All right, so I think it's going to rejoin after. I didn't even ask him if he got me, but let's proceed. All right, share screen. Ayo, please notify me when Mr. Shadrach is here. Otherwise, I will have to find a way to reach out to him via his email so he can join. Did you get that?
All right, sir.
Thank you very much. DPIA, all right. So also, please, as we go along, if you can't see my screen, notify me. If it is blurry, notify me. And if you think goes off entirely, kindly notify me as well. Thank you very much. So today's class is simply on conducting a data privacy protection impact assessment, a DPIA. It is a practical course for data privacy professionals. If you are a DPO, if you are an enthusiast, if you want to understand how to assess risk, this is a topic that you have to learn. Created by me personally, so it's going to be at least an impactful one when it comes to sharing knowledge. Thank you very much for attending to this class. I'm glad to be your tutor. Please enjoy the class. For today, our general learning objectives will be understanding why DPIAs are conducted. We are going to define and explain what a DPIA is. We're going to identify when a DPIA is required, very important. We're going to describe processing activities accurately when it comes to in what instance will you need a DPIA. When it comes to this processing activity, do you need a DPIA for you to understand the general concept? We're going to apply the concept of necessity and proportionality to DPIAs. We're going to identify, analyze, and categorize risk, which is a very important skill. We're going to recommend appropriate risk mitigation measures and also evaluate final outcomes and then document DPIA results. So basically, I'm going to be showing you templates of how to categorize risk. We'll show you templates of how to identify processing, right? And as well, I'm going to show you what a DPIA looks like in practice, and I'll teach you what you can do when it comes to the portal and how you can file it. So let us proceed. Thank you very much. Your course outline: Module 1 is introduction to DPIAs. Module 2, legal foundations for DPIA. Module 3, describing processing activities. Module 4, necessity, proportionality, and purpose limitation. Those are concepts of data protection. Module 5, identifying and assessing risk. Module 6, designing mitigation measures. Module 7, analyzing the DPIA. And Module 8, the practical session. So today we're going to be using a fintech as an example. So as I'm teaching you how to do the DPIA, we're going to be making reference to that particular fintech that we created in our heads. So at the end of the program, we're going to be discussing, how everything we've taught applies to that particular fintech. So thank you. Let's proceed. Module 1, introduction to DPIAs. Why do we conduct DPIAs? Like I said earlier, data protection is a concept that is based on overall safeguard of the rights of an individual. The idea is to protect the privacy of data subjects, 2. The idea is to protect the rights of human beings. When it comes to definition of personal data under the law, you guys realize if you look at section 65 of the NDPA, that doesn't talk about data generally, not maybe analytics, not maybe keystroke, not maybe working gates. It's talking about personal data that has to relate to human beings, particularly. So in that instance, data is a price. Data is a human being. Without data, a human being cannot be accessed. A human being cannot be interacted with. For me to interact with you as a person, I need to know your name. If I don't know your name, the first thing I will ask is, what's your name? Right? Though I can profile you. I see a tall, dark man. He has a big necklace on his neck and he's jumping up with a stick. I probably think this guy is probably from maybe a Fulani tribe. Right? If he has cows behind him, then I can profile him correctly. That's definitely from Fulani tribe, right? Based on his features. But that is also data. But I don't know his name. I don't know where he lives. So I can't particularly link it to that particular person when it comes to me finding the person or assessing the person. But once I know his name, once I know where he's from, I mean, definitely to get that person will be easy. To access person will be easy. To do business with person will be easy, right? Likewise, when you're talking about emails, if I don't have your emails when it comes to you registering for this particular course, there is no way I will be able to access you. There's no way I'll be able to send you when we have new courses available. There's no way I'll be able to send you links for you to join our meetings. There's no way I'll be able to send you links for you to join our webinars. So in that instance, data when it comes to the emails is very important. Data can be used to access an individual to obtain social benefits, impersonate, commit emotional, physical, and mental damage. Data is the lifeblood of each individual. It is what makes a person unique. It is as simple as your name or your facial features, right? A DPIA is conducted to assess the risk that the processing of data by data controller may pose to its data subjects and provide ways to mitigate those risks. It's an audit and advisory job that requires experience and technical knowledge. We, as LawDigits, we offer advisory, obviously. A company reached out to us, an international company, quite massive. So they want to do a project here in Nigeria, and they need we come down to do the DPIA for them. So we were discussing, and they asked me for a particular figure for the DPIA, and I quoted the figure, and the guy said, well, that is quite cheap, because in their own climate, in their own country, I mean, DPIA is not something that is that easy. But because Nigerian way, we're trying to just find a way to access the money and all of that. We tend to, besides also because we don't do our mid-market research, so we don't know how much you charge in other countries compared to our own here, and then the way our own regulator is even doing, you shouldn't charge too much and all of that. You have to be careful. But it's a big deal in other places, right? As a matter of fact, it is a job that you can, as a DPO or as a lawyer, that you can keep getting and then keep making money into your pockets, right? And it's quite straightforward. But if you ask me, all you just need to know is what is a risk? How do you assess risk, right? And in this particular situation, the risks that you have found, how do you mitigate them? What measures do you put in place, right? It alludes to general frameworks like the ISO framework, like the NIST framework when it comes to risk management, the NIST IRMF, and things along that line. So yeah, DPIA, beautiful concept. I hope that is understood. What is a DPIA in definition? A DPIA is a structured, documented process that defines, assesses, and mitigates privacy and data protection risk for a processing activity. It is mandatory under some laws. It is usually done when processing is likely to result in high risk to data subjects. See Section 28 of the NDPA. So it is a structured, documented process that identifies, number one, identifies it. What is this thing? What can probably happen? Right? If it happens, what is the severity? Right? If it happens, what is the probability of it occurring? Can this happen? For instance, when it comes to deploying AI systems, the concept of bias, I'm sure you must have heard of bias, right? Can bias happen when it comes to deploying an AI system? Yes, of course, it can happen. So you've identified that particular risk of bias, right? Can an AI system hallucinate? Yes, it can hallucinate. So if you identify that particular risk of hallucination, so that's identification of risk, then assesses. So that particular hallucination that we found out now, when we assess it, how severe can it be to our operations, right? How damaging can it be to data subjects, right? How impactful can it be when it comes to their fundamental rights, when it comes to their health, when it comes to their safety, right? When it comes to their businesses, when it comes to exposure. So you assess these things, right? And then the third one is to mitigate. Now, hallucination exists, identified it already. We have assessed it already. It is very bad. It's quite high when it comes to risk assessment. So how do we mitigate it? Right? That's what DPIA is all about. So you gather all this data, then you put them in a structured, documented form, right? And you send it to whoever you want to send it to, maybe your client or the regulator as a DPO, right? So it's as straightforward as that. So why the law states that DPIA should be conducted before commencement of processing? In practice, a DPIA can be conducted pre-processing, during processing, and post-processing, right? It is, at the end of it all, we are trying to create laws that are definitely enforceable. But we have to understand that when you create a law, when you enact a new law, you have to give it time to breathe, and then for people in the community to actually get accustomed to what you're talking about. People are already processing data before the law came on board. So you can't say that they must conduct it prior to commencement. right? You can, of course, they can commence it prior to commencement, yes, but while they are also processing, they can conduct it. They can do the assessment. The idea is for you to know what risks are obtainable and how to address those risks. So if I'm processing data and I want to understand the risk available, I can do it during processing, then as well during post-processing when it comes to DPIAs. A DPIA must be part of the CAR. A CAR is the compliance audit report. We did a class on that I think in February. Yes, in January, not February. In January, we did a class on CAR in January. In the event that anybody in this particular class wants to get access to that, we can always provide, or even fix on that class for you to join again. That is that. But yeah, a CAR is a compliance audit report. You have to, as a company, as a data processor, as a data controller and processor, especially of major importance, you have to, file your CAR with the NDPC. So a DPIA was part of the CAR. I mean, the concept of it that it must be stems from the fact that only extraordinary high level and ultra high level of data controllers that file CAR, right, process highly sensitive data. So it's just that kind of link, But at the end of it all, it's not all processing that needs a DPIA. We get to that subsequently. So failure to conduct DPIAs can result in the restriction of processing on all platforms where data subjects may meet the data controller. The major problem in this particular regard has to do with the restriction on processing on all platforms. But how will they know? I mean, there has to be some form of guiding light for the regulator to know that these guys have not conducted their DPIA, or they're processing data in this particular form, or these are the platforms that they have that they are using to process data. If you know how many platforms I have, how will you know? How will you block me? Right? Or if my platforms are not in your country, how will you do that? For instance, Telegram, right? If they don't conduct the DPIA in Nigeria, how will NDPC go after Telegram and block their platform? So those are questions that needs to be asked when it comes to the actual implementation of the law, right? I hope you got that. So note that a DPIA does not need to be rushed. The time frame for completion and report should depend on the nature and extent of the brief. Section 28 provides that a DPIA must be vetted by a certified DPO, duly accredited by the commission. That is, maybe you're part of Cisco, part of ISACA, part of the PECB, part of the IAPP, or you're a CDPO. That's the IIM one. So if you have these qualifications, yes, you can be, you can vet a DPIA. So I would suggest that the first thing you do, I mean, if you haven't gotten your certifications yet, right, try to apply for maybe the IIM CDPO is the cheapest. The IAPP is quite expensive. The PECB, they're all international, expensive, but very versatile. And I mean, you have access to more clients if you have those ones. But yeah, IIM CDPO 2 is wonderful. It's very good. So far, you can understand data protection. I want to confirm if Mr. Shadrach is here. Is he here? Mr. Shadrach is here. Thank you.